Yo, what up everyone, it's TyranitarTube and welcome back to another Pokemon Sun and Moon video. You guys saw it, the Sun and Moon trailer came out. Listen, nothing has got me more excited in Sun and Moon than this trailer. Just the way they ended it, the new feature they ended it off on was insane. So, I'm gonna go through what they revealed in depth and I'm gonna show you guys extended gameplay alongside it. So, let's start off with the starter evolutions. Look at the way they show it on their site. Take the leaks, take a good look at him. In some alternate universe, they became real. Oh, this is that universe. So starting off is Rowlet's evolution. Okay, you see this thing's name? Decidueye is what you guys are telling me in the comments to pronounce it as. But then on Twitter, you guys are saying it's a combination of Deciduous and I. So is it Decidueye? Or is it Decidueye? I don't know, you Decidueye. Okay, so it's the Aeroquill Pokemon. Finally, Rowlet was the Grass Quill Pokemon. Dartrix was the Blade Quill Pokemon. Now you're finally the Aeroquill Pokemon. It's crazy, this thing developed more and more as an owl, but became a ghost by the time he finished. It's Grass Ghost. Just sit back and think. That means this guy, as a Dartrix, in order to achieve its final evolution, died, and then it was like, great, I can do it. Seriously, Dartrix is like a scholar and beauty queen, so it cares about its appearance. It's a bird brain, it's snobby and all that. But then you look at Decidueye, and it's like he got rid of everything when he evolved into this thing. You know, that leaves us with the metaphor. Did Decidueye have to rid itself of everything and turn it into a ghost? Or did it just evolve, man? Leave it alone. So this Pokemon is able to move about while completely masking its appearance from others. Once an opponent has lost sight of it, Decidueye seizes the attack to attack it unaware. In a tenth of a second, Decidueye plucks an Aeroquill from within its wing and sends it hurtling towards its target. You go, Archer. That's what you got those wings for. Its speed is astounding, but no more so than its precise aim, which enables the Aeroquill to piece a target through and through from half a mile or more away. Dude, half a mile, man. Dude, that's pretty far. Think about it. If you live near the forest, like half a mile away from the forest, this thing sees you. This thing watches you from there. But yeah, this thing is an archer and a sniper archer. But yeah, I didn't even realize, but I made the joke about it having wings. That's why it doesn't have wings anymore. It doesn't use its wings. Goddamn it, Monster, I got you. I'm on the same page now. So a skilled Decidueye can boast acrobatic curved shots. It seems some are able to shoot arrows that reach up through the sky, only to come drilling down from above, piercing multiple targets one after another. Spirit Shackle is a ghost-type physical move that only Decidueye can learn. An opponent hit with this move will become unable to flee from battle or switch out for an ally. Dude, this thing's signature attack is Ghost. This is crazy. Not to make fun of starters, because that's kind of their element, but they always have their main attacks based off their primary type. So you have like Leaf Blade, Frenzy Plant. For the first time, this thing has a signature attack that's based off it being a ghost. So yeah, I guess it's just got its eye on you. You can't leave. It's got like a constant mean look on you. That's hilarious. I bet you this thing can learn mean look, but Dartrix can't. So here, this story. He started off as a fire cat. He evolved into a fire cat. Now he's a heal Pokemon. He put on that belt right. Listen, admit it. Everyone's reaction during the trailer. Decidueye turned out to be a different type. Please don't be firefighting. Oh, it's Fire Dark. And for some reason, just for shock value, you almost wanted it to be firefighting. Don't go there again. So yeah, this thing like triples in height and weight, and its ability is still Blaze. This thing better have like an exclusive ability. Like, it would make sense. For these guys, they don't ever show you what its alternate ability is. Probably some exclusive ability like Greninja has Protean. So this guy, his name is Incineroar. As its fighting spirit increases, the flames that Incineroar produces within its body burst from its navel and waistline. Since the flames somewhat resemble a championship belt, they're known as its Flame Belt. And the Pokemon unleashes moves that uses flames from within it. In the heat of battle, Incineroar shows no concern for its opponents, and sometimes even launches attacks that strike the opposing trainer. Bruh, you're cheating! As a result, many tend to dislike this Pokemon and keep it at a distance. Dude, a starter Pokemon? If a crowd watching it battle is pumped up, Incineroar's fighting spirit will burn brighter, but a lackluster crowd can make it lose focus or fight shoddily. When it receives the admiration of young Pokemon and children, it may keep up its cold attitude on the outside, but in its heart of hearts, Incineroar is immensely happy. I know you are, dude. It loses the desire to fight when faced with a Pokemon that's clearly weak or injured, and it sometimes gets taken advantage of as a result. So look at that, this thing has a good spirit. It loves young Pokemon and people, loves the crowd, but then, you know, you take advantage of that love and it'll attack you in battle. See, it shows it right here. This thing ain't bad at heart. Maybe you put it in the wrong environment. Go bring it to Kanto, it'll turn back maybe into a fighting fire type. The Darkest Lariat is a dark type physical move that only Incineroar can learn, and it allows Incineroar to deal damage while ignoring the effects of any stat changes that the target might otherwise be affected by. Again, this thing's signature move comes from its dark type attribute, and it also has a secondary effect as well. With Decidueye, you couldn't leave battle. With this guy, he can hit you at your core despite any freaking stat changes you might have. You know what? That leaves us to Poplio. It started off as a sea lion, evolves into a pop star. and evolve into a soloist. You know what it's performing a solo for you? It's trying to capture you, man. That's what a siren does. So finally, Popplio can sprout those fairy wings. Even Brionne wasn't fairy yet. Look, that just like the other three, its ability is just listed as Torrent. So these three have to, maybe it's not a signature ability, but it would make sense if it was signature because they're not showing it here. But yeah, these three have to have another ability, a hidden ability that should be way better. Primarina. I don't know if you've picked yet, but it's really hard to pick your starters once you've seen all three of them. So as it dances, Primarina releases balloons of water into the area around it, moving them using the sound waves from its voice. The frickin' siren genes. The sights of moonlights reflecting off its glittering balloons creates a magical scene. Since Primarina controls its balloons using its voice, any injury to its throat can become a grave problem. You know, that gets pretty serious, man. I can't imagine that. Its greatest enemies are arid environments and the overuse of its voice during back-to-back battles. So this thing is still a beauty queen, but it's at heart one, so you know what, let it be. Among the balloons that Primarina releases, some explode when touched, while others do not. Primarina jump on the non-exploding balloons while they make sport of their opponents, and they use the exploding variety to trigger chained explosions. Damn, that's a genius tactic, keep doing that. Primarina's songs have many variations, each one changes the motions of the balloons. It has been observed that songs are shared among Primarina living together, so different colonies end up knowing different songs. Dude, that's so cool. Sparkling Aria is a water type special move that only Primarina can learn, and it heals the burns of any target it strikes. So this thing is a freaking peaceful but dangerous Pokemon. And yeah, it's the only one of the three that its signature move is based off its primary element. But if you think about it, the other two actually cease to really focus on their primary type. So it makes sense that this one, who's been constantly like making these balloons and innovating, like I don't know if you know, but let's look at Popplio's history. Hear this, it starts from Popplio. Popplio starts off snorting these balloons made of water, and it dances and plays with its enemies. It can also swim fast, but they say Popplio has a determined spirit, and it's always practicing on those balloon skills. Then you go to Brionne. Brionne imitates other members of its colonies, imitates humans. It's said to be a non-stop hard work until it's memorized every single dance that it's been taught. In battle, it uses these together. They say that it throws the enemy off by dancing, and then it throws a balloon at them to explode and deal damage. You know, hard work pays off, and you evolve into this thing. I can't see it yet, but out of the three starters, which one is going to become the mainstream one? Then again, we all got our own headcanon, so we may not know which the real ones are, but the last generation was Greninja, and everyone knew that Greninja was going to be the one when they revealed those leaks. But with this one, man, they all turned out really good. The owl, I gave the owl so much hate, but it's one of my favorite ones right now. I can't believe it. Especially since we've seen this freaking hooded owl from the start too. Alright, so let's move on to the Tapu Pokemon. You know the first one, Tapu Koko, but three more were revealed in the trailer. The first one is Tapu Fini. It is the land spirit Pokemon, and it is a water fairy type. Listen, out of the freaking Tapu Pokemon, this one has the most like majestic appearance. So this Pokemon is able to create a special water that purifies both mind and body. But Tapu Fini requires that supplicants wishing to obtain this purifying water demonstrate the strength to understand the Tapu's fog. Many humans have tried to withstand Tapu Fini's fogs in pursuit of its purifying water. Among them are some with evil intentions, which may have been the reason for Tapu Fini's sense of disgust and lack of interest in appearing to people. Listen, I know you're majestic, but you don't look like a smart, you don't sound nice anymore. Tapu Fini is able to attack by manipulating water. Since it hates to risk harm to itself during battle, it prefers to create a thick fog that puts opponents in a trance and leads to them destroying themselves. Tapu Fini's expression remains listless even when it's unleashing moves. Some people say that it might look this way because using its moves is so exhausting. That's crazy. These Tapu Pokemon really do sound like guardians that are trying to understand with humans. But yeah, this thing has a signature attack called Nature's Madness, which slams a target with all of Nature's Rage, reducing the target's HP by half. Dude, Rattata is not on your level, especially not Alolan Rattata. There's gotta be something else to it, get paralyzed or something. Actually, wait, Nature's Madness, maybe this thing could have like a tri-attack effect. But at the same time, Nature's Madness would probably take advantage of its ability, Misty Surge. With Misty Surge, the field will be turned into misty terrain when Tapu Fini enters in battle, halving the damage taken on Pokemon on the ground from Dragon-type moves and preventing them from being afflicted with status conditions or confusion. It's hilarious, these terrain moves that we all didn't care about, they introduced them earlier around so that they could introduce these abilities. But yeah, Misty Surge. So it creates a misty terrain that's all about fighting dragons. But it's cool because on the weather side of things, you could have like drizzle and it would summon the rain, boost water attacks, but could only do so much. On the other end, they've introduced terrain moves which affect the ground and in a completely different way that weather could. Like Misty Terrain right here, it cuts damage from dragon attacks just like the water would to fire attacks, but it also prevents all Pokemon on the ground from being afflicted with any status condition. So it's really cool, and to have these Tapu Pokemon having abilities that summon this terrain is where I feel like these guys are gonna have their uniqueness. I don't think other Pokemon are gonna have these abilities. But moving on is Tapu Lele or Tapu Lele. Just like Tapu Fini and Tapu Koko, this thing is also the land spirit Pokemon, but it is the psychic fairy one. So there's a legend which says that long ago, Tapu Lele once brought an end to the war between the islands of Alola by scattering its scales and soothing the tired warriors. So how does it work? Tapu Lele scatters glowing scales that physically affect others, providing stimulation to their bodies and healing their illnesses or injuries. Dude, it's the healing mist. But these scales can be dangerous as well because a body can't withstand the changes brought about by contact with too many scales at a time. It will scatter its scales over humans and Pokemon for its own enjoyment. While it is innocent in one sense, there's also cruelty in the way it casually brings others to ruin. Dude, it's that superiority complex, you're a god, that's why. If Tapu Lele doesn't have much strength stored in its shell, it may lack the strength to seize victory in a head-on battle. That's because you rely on those scales. With this in mind, it tends to prioritize not losing a battle over actually beating a foe, and it's skilled at strategies such as inflicting status conditions on opponents. So that's weird. I don't know what I see in this thing. I see like a specially defensive Pokemon, but when they say that I can't really take on a head-on battle, I feel like it could also be pretty frail. Okay, wait a minute. Nature's Madness is this thing's signature move too. Why do the Tapus have freaking Super Fang as their move? You have a Rattata in the region. That's pretty rude, man. Like, imagine Alolan Rattata can't learn Super Fang, and all these Alolan people are praising these Tapus for having such a move, and then they go to Kanto, they see a Rattata, and it's got the same move. But yeah, this thing's signature move is Nature's Madness, but it does get its own signature move called Psychic Terrain, which is of course new, which we don't know because we don't pay attention to these terrains, but we will now. It's a big thing. But it boosts the power of any Psychic type move used by a Pokemon on the ground and prevents them from being hit by a priority move. So yeah, that's what it was. When it used Sucker Punch in the trailer, I thought it was because it was a dark type attack, but that's the complete opposite. It's not dark on Psychic, it's Psychic on dark, and it didn't work because you can't use priority moves. But yeah, it boosts the power of any Psychic type moves on the ground. I don't... Is this thing on the ground? I mean, you better be. It's pretty rude. Its ability, Psychic Surge, summons this Psychic Terrain. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's on the ground. It can't have an ability like that. It's like Rodon, man. You can't do that. But moving on to the final Tapu is Tapu Bulu. Listen, when I first saw this guy, I thought it was just a really weird sealed looking Tapu. You can even see it on the bottom of it. It looked very sealed. But then we saw it in the trailer today, and it does have a face. It's just a really, really buff Tapu. Never in your life would you expect that this thing is the Grass Fairy Tapu, but it is. It's got Grassy Surge. He's the protector of peace, don't blame him. Tapu Bulu's powers is to manipulate freaking life. It can use this power on its own horns made of wood, changing their shape or making them larger. This can come in handy in battle. This stolid Pokemon is not very active. People's opinions differ on whether it's as docile as it seems, or if the reason it doesn't move much can be chalked up to simple laziness. Little do you know, he can sit right there and make everything grow. Tapu Bulu does not like unnecessary battles or frightening other opponents. Because of this, it makes a loud ringing noise with its tail to alert those nearby of its presence. Although Tapu Bulu may not like to start battles, it shows no mercy when dealing with evildoers. That's right, Rattata, you think there's no Kanto Rattata here? He killed them all. They're evildoers. That power to cut in half is for the gods, not for you, Rattata. It's so that when thieves once broke into the ruins, it punished them by swinging trees around like massive clubs. Oh damn, you don't want to piss this guy off, man. He is as buff as he looks. That's not part of his power. He had to lift a tree, and he lifted 2 trees to beat you, because he doesn't deal with Rattatas anymore. Tapu Bulu's ability is Grassy Surge, a new exclusive ability. With Grassy Surge, the field will be turned into grassy terrain when Tapu Bulu appears in battle, boosting the power of any grass type moves used. And it also restores a bit of HP to them each turn. It also halves damage taken from moves like Earthquake, Magnitude, and Bulldoze. See, it's a peacemaker. It doesn't allow it. But that's pretty crazy when you think about it. All this time, all those terrain attacks really did describe how these Tapu's abilities worked with this guy's Grassy Surge. For example, in the games, when you did do a grassy terrain, yeah, it boosted grass attacks, but it also restored the HP of any Pokemon on the turn, just like leftovers would do. It was confusing, it seemed pointless at the time, but it makes sense now. These abilities originated from the Tapus, and they affect the Pokemon differently than how weather does. But you've seen all the Tapus. These are the 4 Tapu Pokemon. You got Tapu Fini, Tapu Lele, and Tapu Bulu, and Tapu Koko. Don't forget the Koko. So yeah, I've been making fun of it all this time, but I'm sure you've realized that this thing's signature attack is known as Nature's Madness because primarily, probably, this better be it, Primarily, it cuts the Pokemon's HP in half, the opponent's Pokemon, but it also does something with nature. So for example, Tapu Koko has the electric terrain ability, Electric Surge, which makes it so Pokemon can't fall asleep. I guess they're like getting these constant jolts, but Nature's Madness would manipulate the electric terrain and do something on top of just cutting the opponent's HP in half. It has to. It means a lot that they went as far as to make the fourth Tapu like this. Like, they make a very unique looking version of the Tapu. Some of you guys may know what I'm talking about, but it's like small details that really make this game full of like color and vibrance. Like, it makes it pop up in your face, man. It's sometimes bad. Maybe too much color is bad for you. Maybe all those guys who know what I'm saying better not. But just moving on, if you want to technically talk about new Pokemon, is the classy... You call yourself the classy cat Pokemon? Yes, I'm talking about the Persian. Listen, there was a prince from Persia, which is why he left with the freaking Sands of Time. But yeah, you're a pure dark type Pokemon. Why is it that you and Raticate turned out like this? You know, let's just talk about him. The round face of Alolan Persian is a symbol of the rich Alola region, and it is held to be the Pokemon of great beauty. I don't get how you could lie to my face. It is such a distinctive Pokemon of the Alola region that all Persian are well protected and strict inspections are required before tourists can be permitted to take one back to their home region. What do you mean strict inspections? What is that supposed to mean? Persian is highly intelligent with an even higher opinion of itself. Doesn't that prove your point? It's not intelligent. In general, it looks down on everything other than itself. It doesn't tend to grow attached to its trainer either, so it's a difficult Pokemon to have as a partner in battle. This is what we need. We need to go. We need to get the Meowth as our starter Pokemon. Show these Meowths what's cool. Moreover, Dad, think about what happens when freaking Meowth comes from Team Rocket into Alola. You think these guys are princes? He's gonna be like the real prince standing out. Its exquisite coat shines with the glow of high quality and enchants both humans and Pokemon. For this reason, it is a very popular Pokemon in the Alola region. It usually puts on a refined act, but once a battle begins, it will indulge in the most underhanded of tactics, including surprise attacks, trickery, and even foul play. Yet its haughty personality causes it to underestimate its opponents, and it's often taken in by their counterattacks. In other words, if you fought another Persian, you would lose. What's crazy is if you look back to Meowth, they say that it was sent to the royal line as an offering from another region, which only a select few could have as their partners. So you'd think, okay, so let's say this took place like freaking 2,000 years ago. They sent these normal looking Meowths to the freaking royalty in Alola, and over time you have a group of Meowth in Alola known as Alolan Meowth, and you have the normal Meowth everywhere else. So when they say this, the truth is, the true princes of the Meowth are the freaking normal looking Meowths. That's what I'm trying to say. When Team Rocket's Meowth gets to Alola, he's gonna be the prince. They're gonna look at him and be like, whoa, you look like the pictures do. But who cares about that Persian? I'm moving on. You know, let's look at this guy. This thing is called Cosmog, and it's the Nebula Pokemon. So it's pretty much the pre to celestial bodies like the sun and moon. We've seen it in the leaks, but remember, the leaks don't tell us anything. So when you first look at this thing, you're reminded of Lunala. It looks like at most, it could be like an item for Lunala. But then we saw it today. Gameplay of this thing in battle. This thing is a pure psychic type. It's the Nebula Pokemon, so it's like the pre to celestial bodies like the sun. But it's interesting, out of all abilities for this thing to have, it has Unaware. So this extremely rare Pokemon is known to only a select few in Alola. At one time, it was known only by the kings of Alola and their heirs, and it was called the Child of the Stars. The Aether Foundation is researching this unusual Pokemon, and one of the professors at the foundation recently dubbed it Cosmog. Cosmog is very curious and shows no fear of people or Pokemon. If you treat it with any consideration at all, it'll take an immediate liking to you. This personality trait often leads it into danger. So yeah, it makes sense. It's trying to look for someone to choose as a partner. Its gaseous body is so lightweight that it's sent flying when the wind blows. When light falls on this Pokemon, Cosmog absorbs it and grows. God damn it, it's happening. I don't know what your theories are. I don't know if I got all the details when I say this, but this thing has to be the pre-evolution for both Solgaleo and Lunala. So clearly this thing is the pre to a Pokemon, or at least that's what we can say so far. But it's so weird that this thing is for sure supposed to grow and mold into something. And if you look at it, actually, you could see a few other things. Like, for example, what if this is how a Tapu first looks like, and then it chooses someone, they rise up to be Kahuna. But at the same time, I actually don't think that's the case, because this seems to be the complete opposite of what the Kahunas and the Tapus are based off. They're based off guarding the earth and their own peaceful thing. This thing comes from space. This thing is a Nebula Pokemon that's going around looking for someone. They call it the Child of the Stars. Dude, this is the craziest Pokemon to exist right now. Damn, I didn't even realize that was the last Pokemon revealed in the trailer. That is crazy. That Pokemon, what is it? Its name is Cosmog. It's about Cosmo and Smog. So I guess they've called it that because it's like the smog that comes from the cosmos. It's the Nebula Pokemon, man. Figure it out, Alolan Oak. Dude, this thing has to lead to some big things because if a select few have been chosen by this thing, that means this thing has existed for a while. And if this thing does evolve into Solgaleo or Lunala, then there can't just be Solgaleo and Lunala. That means there's got to be more. Like, what is going on with this thing? When light falls on this Pokemon, Cosmog absorbs it and grows. That was the thought around Sun and Moon, that Sun and Moon's not about light and darkness, but that light is needed for both Sun and Moon. So Sun and Moon's complete opposite is darkness. So when light falls on this Pokemon, it could either mold into Solgaleo or Lunala, but I don't get it. In fact, this thing actually starts to even look like Marshadow. So this thing goes into Solgaleo or Lunala, or it doesn't choose anyone and it turns into Marshadow or something like that. The Aether Foundation seems like they might actually have like a Cosmog with them. Maybe that's what they're using to construct these Ultra Beasts or something like that. In fact, when light falls on this Pokemon, Cosmog absorbs it and grows. This thing can't be really spotted as it travels around. This thing just goes around, wind blows it around, and over time, if you do run into one somehow, I guess in like a forest or something, and you start to treat it well, it'll take a liking to you. It makes sense now its ability Unaware because it's literally just an unaware Pokemon. I don't know, this is all getting so crazy, but that's all time for this video, guys. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed it. There's gonna be another video after this on Red, Blue, Oak, and everyone being in Alola and what they're really trying to do. It's gonna be one of the coolest post-game / part of the game events. Like, it sort of goes into the plot of the events if it's about constructing a Pokemon League and all that. But look out for that video. Be sure to speculate on all of this, man. Cosmog, the Nebula Pokemon, we got all the Tapus and the final starters. There's 3 weeks left and things are getting crazy. I don't know if they can even put out another trailer after this. It's gonna be a really interesting last few weeks up to Sun and Moon. So with that, guys, keep playing, keep laughing, and keep believing. See you in the next video. Peace.